Welcome to Pure Food for Thought. I'm Phoebe of Phoebe's Pure Food, and I'm so glad you joined us today. I have a very special guest with us. I've known her for a few years now. I have Dr. Aparna Mele. She's of Digestive Disease Associates, and she's my gastroenterologist. Yeah, so there's a little personal information. I trust her, and I'm so glad that you're here today.
I'm so honored to be here, Phoebe. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So I'm curious to know, what is it that you're hoping people learn from your story today?
Well, I think the answer to that comes from how I'm speaking. Am I speaking as a person or am I speaking as a doctor? Mm-hmm. And I guess the two are intertwined because what I practice and preach to my patients is what I practice and preach in my own life. And as I thought about this question ahead of time, there's two sort of main thoughts I hope to get across. One is health and longevity is definitely a personal responsibility. We can't help the cards we were given. We can't help the circumstances and the genetics and even access to medical care. But there is one thing we do have control over, and it's our bodies. And the more personal responsibility we as an individual take towards our own health, the longer we can see to our success despite those other factors. The second message I want to get across is the complexity of our relationship as people with food. Mm-hmm. And food is a wonderful thing. It is obviously our sustenance. It is an important my goodness, it's one of the most important human experiences one can have. It's a communal thing. There's so much societal and individual importance on food, but food has to be respected not just for food, but for its impact on the body as well. And so we have to appreciate food in the setting of our own bodies. So I think these are the two messages I want to get across.
Is this something, okay, because you're talking about health and wellness, mm-hmm. And respecting food and taking control over how the two kind of meet.
That's correct, yeah.
In your own body. And not
right.
making excuses, mm-hmm. although you can only do so much in terms of genetics,
That's right?
Right?
You only have so much control.
How did that happen for you as a young person? Because food is like culture, food is mm-hmm. family, and how did you learn this in your youth? I mean, I'm going to guess that's...
Well, I have to take it way back, so
mm-hmm.
I apologize for the tediousness of my history. But I was born in a very privileged life. I have two physicians for parents, and I have never... had any needs or wants that have not been met. And in fact, I was so privileged that when I was in high school, I kind of felt bad. I kind of felt, gosh, I'm pretty lucky, and there are a lot of people less fortunate than I am. Mm-hmm. I thought that tremendously because my parents are from India, and so I'm of Indian descent, but I was born and raised here, and my own experience growing up was far different than that of my parents, who mm-hmm. lived in general poverty. The smart thing that my parents did for me is since I was young, they've been taking me to India to visit. And there's tremendous visual messaging when you go to India because there's all kinds of people there. There are people who are well dressed and walking around with plenty, and then there are those people who are struggling to survive on the street. And to have that visual at an early age made me appreciate food in mm-hmm. general, because I had an experience as a child where a child about my age was pulling on my dress, and my dress was sewed together and looked nice and was probably some designer dress, mm-hmm. and this little girl had a tattered dress, and I didn't speak the language, and she put her hand out, and I asked my dad, what is it she wants? And she basically wanted food or mm-hmm. money, and I was eating something, and I think she wanted a piece of what I was eating. Mm-hmm. And I remember giving it to her, and how she treasured it as if it was a piece of gold, as if it was the most amazing thing. And I realized how some of us take food for granted, and others die for a piece. And so that message carried with me when I was in high school. So I made a lot of money one summer, and I decided that I was going to donate that money somewhere as a feel-good thing. So Mother Theresa, who has an enormous presence in India and spent many years of her life doing missionary work there, and who was basically not larger than life when you go to India. She's actually one of the people there. Mm-hmm. And so I wrote her a letter when I was in high school, mm-hmm. and I said, listen, I have a lot of money to give. Can I just send it your way? And the most life-altering thing happened. She wrote to me, and she said the best way to help is with your hands. So I ended up going to India, and I ended up doing missionary work with her for 3 years in the summer, in between school. And it was a life-altering situation for me, because to see a person who wasn't even part of that culture, to go there and to spend so much of her life and dedicate her life to helping others, it's basically why I'm a doctor. And because I came to medicine with that mentality, I realized in my career I want to do a lot more than just take care of people and go home at the end of the day.
Okay. That was so much wonderful information. I could just let you talk all day and I would listen, I think. I think what's fascinating first is that when you went over to visit, that you talked about the visual and what you saw. And it sounds, and I'm just expecting when you come to certain areas in the United States and it's visual, it's usually like Times Square, right? And it's all commercial.
Yes.
And it's eat this, buy this. But there, it's literally
hand to mouth.
Yes.
It is. It's very much hand to mouth. And you realize quickly, even my own family, I have tons of extended family there, and they have this process in India called load shedding, where there's not enough electricity to light the whole country. So they share it. So one region gets it first, and then bye-bye electricity, and it goes somewhere else. And to be visiting this rich American girl, going to visit my own people, and then to be like, oh my gosh, we have to sit in the dark now for a day because there's no electricity. I guess I'll say, even though I lived a life of privilege, because my parents indoctrinated me in that culture early in life, those visuals and those memories I have in childhood basically guide the way I live my life today. To this day, I have 2 small children. I don't let them leave a crumb on their plate. If they can't finish their food, it gets wrapped up till the next day. Food should be respected, and I've learned that at an early age because of these type of experiences.
And it sounds like not only did you, in your youth, you raised money and you saved money from whatever the project was over the summer, but when it is life-altering when Mother Theresa says your hands could do more good than your money, that you didn't just let that sink in. You actually moved that into...
That's right. And I came to
created
her...
something.
Right. And I was sort of looking at her more as a human being. A lot of people recognize Mother Teresa more from a religious perspective. I don't even share her religion. So for me, the beauty of her as a human being was this Romanian woman who also had a life of wealth, who shed everything in the name of God or religion or physical duty or moral duty to go to another impoverished place and to spend her life giving to those people. And I saw that, most of us will never touch a hair on her head or remotely come close. But I think the point and the thing that she taught me in the 3 years I knew her, and I knew her well, she was like a mentor to me, really, was that you don't have to be, it doesn't matter who you are, and it doesn't matter how big of an impact you make or how small of one. The important thing is that you understand that your life is not just about you, but it's about the people around you, and not just the people related to you, but about every person out there. And so whatever way you can make a difference in your community, whether that's, nationally, internationally, or in your own neighborhood, you should take advantage of it because it fulfills you as a person, and then you kind of see a larger message to life itself than just making a living and coming home.
Exactly. But your parents gave you that gift.
They did.
And when you say physicians, you were a child of 2 physicians, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to eat well, right?
That's
because
right. That's
convenient food sometimes doesn't necessarily mean that it's good for your body. But they gave you the gift of both, it sounds like.
Well, not really, because we eat well. We definitely ate well. But I'll be honest, I was so busy studying and taking care of myself that I didn't always pay attention to my dietary choices. I wasn't the healthiest teenager in the world. It was all about convenient food. My parents, who didn't get to enjoy fast food, really my mother loved McDonald's. I don't know, she just loved it. She's a doctor, but every day after school we'd go to McDonald's and grab a hamburger. And I definitely packed on the pounds in high school, and I don't think I appreciated sort of health until I started college, and a doctor told me, you better be careful. You have family history of heart disease, diabetes. You better watch yourself, or you're gonna go down a wrong, unhealthy path. That was the first time someone pointed out that my, pleasantly plump figure was actually a health detriment to me long
Right.
term.
Okay.
I didn't look at myself that way until a doctor told me that.
And I'm thankful that your doctor shared that with you, because it's a perspective that most people don't hear when they go into the doctor's office.
That's right.
We have to take a quick break. You don't want to grab cookies and milk unless it's almond milk, maybe, and healthy cookies. But when we come back, I do want to talk more about your connection with your family and what you're teaching your children and how you move or you make decisions now to educate and help people regionally.
That sounds perfect.
Yeah.
I look forward to it.
Okay. Thanks.